Hi, my name is Clara Walz, and this is my Taste of Eternity. This is my favorite pizza with pepperoni, banana pepper, and jalapeno, and plenty of ranch dressing. This is my favorite sandwich from Jimmy John's called the Bootlegger with plenty of Jimmy peppers, salt, pepper, and oil and vinegar. This is my favorite dessert with a warm chocolate chip cookie and homemade vanilla ice cream.
From the first bite to the last breath, we're here today with social worker Clara Walz. So how are you doing today?
Good. I'm tired and I'm excited and I'm nervous, but overall I am good and I'm excited to be here.
So tell us about how food plays a role in your life.
Well, I'm a big eater. I am also a big athlete, so I really like to run and exercise, and so I need food to help fuel my day. But I also get really irritable when I don't eat, so I have to make sure that I'm constantly eating. But it's also just a fun time to be in the midst of other people. I make sure that we're also always eating dinner as a family at the end of the day. So it's just a way for me to connect, not just with my family, but with friends as well. So I see it as a big connection.
Thanks.
Right. Well, with that, let's get into the first meal.
Or whatever that looks. I always grab the corner crust and eat that first. Just the piece of the corner and eat it first.
We'll do that first too. Just to taste it.
Just to get a little, what to know to expect.
Get to know the slice first.
Get to know the slice.
Yep. That's how I start.
Go ahead and take the first bite here.
Yeah, let's take the first bite. It's okay.
You're shaking. You're nervous.
All right.
A little spicy.
No spicy. But so far, it's better than what I expected.
The ranch helps with the spiciness.
It does.
Honestly, I was expecting really bad. When I read the email, I was like, ooh.
Do you like it?
It's pretty good.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
so good.
I think if I ordered it, I'd probably get off the jalapenos and just keep the banana peppers.
Oh yeah, there's.
How did you come up with this, and what was going through your mind when you made this?
Sure. Okay, so I am Hispanic, so my mom's from Mexico. And so I've grown up on spicy food, so that's where the jalapeno comes into play. When we were little visiting Mexico, we used to get these nachos where we would get a bunch of jalapenos on it, and I would take the jalapenos off because it was too spicy, but the juice of the jalapenos would stay on. So I've always loved jalapenos. Pineapple because they're sweet, and you can just, that's it for the pineapple. Banana peppers, so this... I craved banana peppers a lot when I was pregnant. And so my husband would always come home, instead of bringing me a bouquet of flowers, he'd always bring me a can of banana peppers. And I would sit there and just eat it. So I thought, well, if I like them so much, I should just put them on the pizza. And voila, you have this. And then you have pepperoni. You can't beat pepperoni.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what brought me to this pizza.
Honestly, I would have never thought of this combination in my life. I think it's also because I just don't like pizza in general. I know.
Oh my gosh, you are one of few.
I know.
Very one of you.
I stand with a crowd. But as a social worker, what kind of got you down this path to become one?
So my dad's a social worker. He worked in a school when I was young. And so I knew I always wanted to be a school social worker. But I didn't start in schools. I started working for an organization called Youth Villages here, but I always worked with kids 18 and younger, so I've never really worked with adults. And we would always ask my dad, what was the craziest thing that happened to you today? And he would say things like, oh, he worked in an elementary school. This kid stabbed another kid with a pencil, and we would be like, oh my gosh. And so we would always hear these stories of how he would have big impacts on people's lives. And I thought, that is what I want to do. So then finally, when I was able to get a school social work position here at Bartlett, it was a dream come true. And I've been here probably, I think, like 6 years now at Bartlett. So I would say a challenging career, or challenging part in my career, was when I left to work in a position that was social work, but I wasn't working directly with people anymore. I was kind of like management, and that was really hard to not have like an impact directly on people's lives. I was just kind of managing things, so that was really hard. That made me realize that's not what I want to do. It was really nice to hear how people are doing once they leave school, because I don't get to see you guys once y'all graduate. So it's really, that's probably the most memorable pieces, is hearing how kids are doing after they leave. Okay, so also the Jimmy Peppers are spicy, so of course I love the spicy. But this is also, keep going back to pregnancy, because I feel like there's, a lot of food you can't have during it. And then after, this is like the only thing I wanted after my baby was born, was a Jimmy John's sandwich. And my sister and I I have a twin sister who's also a social worker. When we were in grad school together, we were on the same soccer team, and we would, after every single game, we would go to Jimmy John's and get a sandwich. And this is the only one I get there.
So this is kind of like a family tradition.
Yep.
So let's talk about social media.
I ate this slow.
So, what is your opinion on social media, and how does it affect teens in this day and age?
I have a lot of opinions on social media. Social media can be good, but I think for the most part, it can be really harmful. But I think if you're going to be on social media, you have to be very secure and very confident in yourself to not be so easily influenced by like people who are influencers that might, I don't know, there's just so many like filters and stuff out there that what you see on social media is not always accurate. So it's hard to like look at a picture and be like, oh my gosh, that person is living their best lives. But that's all we see on the social media. We don't get to see like the hard parts. And it can cause us to like sit and compare ourselves to other people. Like I struggle with that. I have a hard time. I've had to go on social media cleanses because I have had such bad mental health during times where I'm more on social media. It's also one of those things that, I don't know about y'all, when I pull out my phone, I go straight to like Facebook or Instagram. I'm like, I'm not even thinking. It's just like the first thing I do. So I want to start helping even myself create like healthier habits to not just go on my phone and look at social media where it's going to put me in like a negative headspace, and do things like the New York Times puzzles instead, where I'm like working my brain a little bit and not being in a space where I can start comparing myself to other people, because it's just, you kind of get caught in that realm. I think as humans, we all do that.
They were struggling with like an addiction to social media. How would you get them through that?
So I think the first thing to do is like just delete it off your phone. And create, like, get yourself like an accountability partner. So like if you were struggling and you're like, I can't get off, like I'm just so addicted, I'm on it constantly, like hours and hours, like 15 hours a day, then maybe you could be like their accountability partner. So every time you might want to pick up your phone and look at that, instead you would call her and talk to her about it. So getting an accountability partner is really helpful, but also just getting it off your phone completely. Just straight up delete it.
Okay.
Okay.
So for your third meal, you opted for a cookie and ice cream. So
yeah. So I enjoy baking. So I'm always making chocolate chip cookies at home. I have like this perfect recipe for like the most delicious chocolate chip cookie. Literally, y'all, every night I am eating a chocolate chip cookie that you warm in the microwave for like 20 seconds, put a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top every single night. That's what I have. And that's where we're at.
All right, so what's the biggest mental health issue or problem you see in teens nowadays?
So I would say there's two things. One, social media causing a lot of anxiety and low self-esteem. The second thing, and this is something that I've noticed just in regards to like just people in general, but right now, especially with teenagers, is like what's going on at the root of the problem. And what I'm noticing is that a lot of people don't know how to identify how they're feeling. So like we always talk about, oh, I'm happy or I'm sad or I'm mad, like the three, like the trifecta of feelings. So it's like we're always either sad, mad, or happy.
Yes.
But there's like over 2,000 words in the English language that can describe how we're feeling. So instead of like if someone came into my office and I'm like, how are you doing today? And they're like, I'm fine. I'm like, nope, I need something more. No, you're not just fine. Tell me more. And so it's like, are you feeling anxiety? Are you feeling envious? Are you jealous? Are you frustrated? So I think at the root of what's going on is people in general just don't know how to identify how they're feeling. And if they can't do that, they can't then work through how they're feeling. So if they don't know that they're feeling irritable, then we can't impact the irritability. We can just impact frustration, which they're not frustrated, they're irritable. So I think that's a big problem, but anxiety is the biggest thing you're seeing more outwardly. A lot of panic attacks, a lot of like things going on outside of like the academics that's causing people to have a lot of anxiety. And so that's what I'm seeing a lot with students right now, and a lot of it comes from social media.
Going back to the word thing, do you feel like it's not knowing what they're feeling like, or they don't know that words have an impact?
I think both. I think they work together. So first you have to recognize that you're feeling, and then you have to understand why you're feeling that way. And then you have to be able to label how you're feeling. So once you can do that, then you can learn how to express how you're feeling and understand how you're feeling. Like it all just kind of works together. I would say if you love helping people, this is a good place to be. But it's also really hard. So if someone's going to want to be in like the helping profession, so whether that's a mental health therapist or a social worker, you just have to make sure that your mental health is okay in order to help other people. I have my own therapist that I meet with at least once a month to help me work through my own stuff. And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to help my students. And so I think it's really important to have a good understanding of self-care. But social work is great. Within like the social work profession, you can do so many things, not just be a school social worker. So you can work in like DC and do policy work, or you can be an individual therapist, or you can work in the school or a hospital. So if you want to be a social worker, you will never not have a job. There's a lot of stuff to do. So it's very rewarding, but it's also very hard. But, I love it.
What do you do in your free time, like outside of social work and outside of just work in general?
So right now I am training for the St. Jude Half Marathon. And so I'm running a lot, which is really nice because I have 2 young kids at home. So it's nice to have a little break in my runs. So I exercise a lot, but I also have a lot of really good friends who also have kids around the same age as my kids. So we hang out a lot. And I'm involved in several like book clubs. So I do a lot of reading, and I do enjoy watching TV. So there's just like a lot of different things I do. I try not to bring work home with me because it can be really hard to just kind of separate the two. But yeah, I keep myself busy with reading, exercising, and hanging out with friends.
Well, thank you for showing up, Ms. Walz, and thank you for letting us take some time out of your day. And thank you for
introducing us to this new foods.
To the pizza and then a sandwich. There were experiences, all right.
Thanks for having me, y'all. This was fun. Thanks for lunch.
Thanks for lunch. Well, we'll see you next month on Taste of Eternity.